In Data Vault modeling, we track business relationships in a link table, and as we know that the link table is made up of a hash-based unique sets of business keys that's referencing to relevant hubs. We already mentioned that to increase flexibility and adaptability, link represents many-to-many relationships. Any hub entity in Data Vault can therefore have multiple active relationships to other entities through the links. But what happens if our business does not allow multiple relationships for a specific business key at the same moment? Let's understand with an example. For example, there is a many-to-many relationship between student and the class. So student would register multiple classes at the same time, and a single class would also have multiple students. So we established relevant hubs and also link table that build relationship between student and class. In here, I just use the names instead of the business keys in both hub and link tables in order to get better understanding. I also removed the load date and record source columns to avoid confusion and focus on the specific part. So when Emma registered for both mathematics and physics lessons, we have both relationships exist in the student class link table. So it is fine that we would be able to access both relationships in the link table because a student can register more than one class at the same time. So this is totally matched against our business rules. But think about the relationship between employee and department. For example, Tim is working in sales team, but then he is offered an attractive position from IT, then he decided to move in that department. According to company rules, an employee can only work in a single department at a given point in time. If the employee is moved from one department to another, then he will conclude relationship with the previous department. But in the link table, we have both relationships between team and different two departments as similar to earlier example. And we also don't have any start date or end date information in link table that shows when the relationship was valid. The reason behind is the link tables are the key point for the flexibility in the data vault. Therefore, their main purpose is to contain unique relationship between the entities. So we would never have a start date or end date columns in the link tables. So in order to solve it, a common data vault practice is to create effectivity satellites that is connected commonly to a link table or a hub and record the time period when the corresponding relationship or business key has started and ended. So in here, we want to achieve that the previous relationship between an employee and a specific department is closed when the person moved to a new department. By this way, we cannot have more than one active relationship at the same time. So look at the scenario. We have source data in the left side that shows Tim works in the Department of Sales. On the initial load on 27 October on 2018, the first record arrives in the data warehouse. Because there is no previous record exists, this will lead us to creation of a new employee and a new department hub record. There will be also a relationship between the two hubs in the link table as a new record. And we have also effectivity satellite that is connected to link table, and its purpose is to track when the link is active according to the business, which provides effective from and effective to columns for this purpose. The primary column of effectivity satellite is hashkey column from parent link table, which is hashkey employee department in here. Then effectivity from column that shows when the relationship first take place, or start from which date the relationship is active. Most often operational systems provide this information, therefore it is not a system-generated field. So in this scenario, you need to ask source system as which date column provides me information that when employee started to work in a department or change his department. And we have also optional status column that shows if the relationship is active or not. In here it is entered as yes. Then we have a load date and record source columns for the effectivity table as standard for all data vault tables. Both effective from and effective to columns based on the same source date column. When the effectivity satellite record is created, we set the effective from and leave the effective to column as empty. Or in our case, we set it to be maximal date of end of December 9999 to indicate that the relationship will not expire and it is still active. In our example, we just used to load the information in order to make it simple. But again, to remember, usage of effectivity satellites are only reasonable if the source system provides the effectivity dates. So we should avoid creating artificial effective dates unless the source system provides the data. Then the second record arrives on the 5th of August 2020, for example from CDC system, and shows that the team changed the department. This doesn't change anything in the hub table, but indicates a new record in the link table. So right now we have a two active relationship in the link table, and old one is needed to be closed. But when we define the ETL logic, how we will determine that when and which relationship will be closed? In here, driving keys helps us. So driving key is a unique key on a link table that is used to determine the effectivity of a relationship or series of relationships. It helps to track the history from the perspective of the driving key. And it is used to track when a relationship changes and which side of the relationship determines the change. In any link, there are two foreign key columns. One will change over time and the other will remain constant. The one does not change is called the driving key, and the one that does change is called driven key or secondary key. For example, in a relationship between department and employee, the employee is the same, but the department attached to employee may change over time when employee change departments. So employee is the driving key in here. Another way to identify driving key is when you have one-to-many or parent-child relationship between two tables, like employee and department, as in here department is a parent table as multiple employees can work in a department, and employee is the child because an employee can only work in a single department at the same time. So it defines that the primary key of the child table, which is the employee ID in the employee table, is assigned as the driving key. So additionally, driving keys does not change the data vault model. It indicates how ETL or ELT should be performed and how a relationship is maintained. As it is visible in the diagram below, you can see that the relationship between team and sales is closed when the relationship between team and IT comes into existence on the 5th of August. And the load date of second record is used to close first relationship and update effective to column from end of December to 5th of August 2020. And the status column of the first record is changed from yes to no. And effective to column of the next record inserted as the end of December 1999, and the status became active. And the decision if do we need effectivity satellites to close relationship is totally a modeling decision that depends on your business logic. Mainly there are two ways of storing relationship history over time for the link table. As we mentioned, one of the methods is the usage of effectivity satellite based on driving key concept. The second one is the regular link satellite that tracks the history for each individual relationship. What does it mean? Think about that when team has started a job in sales department, due to interaction between employee and department, a working contract is created. And this contract has attributes as salary rate and contract type that shows what kind of benefit package he has. For example, it may be possible when you have a medium contract type, then you have 20 days vacation and one-time bonus in a year. But if you upgrade to large contract type, then you have 30 days vacation and 2 times bonus in a year. So these are the characteristics of relationship between employee and department. So look at the scenario. We have a source data in the left side that shows the relationship between employee and department and shows the attribute as salary rate and contract type that is occurred based on this relationship. Again, on initial load, 27th of October, the first record arrives in the data warehouse, and it leads to creation of a new record in employee and department hubs and also in link table. And we have a regular link satellite that is connected to link table, and its purpose is to track historical changes that belong to unique relationship. So all attributes belong to this relationship as salary rate and contract type collected in the link satellite. In the second load, we get an update from source system that team was performing very well and his boss upgraded his contract type from medium to large. So when you look at the impact of this update, there is no change in the link table, but we achieved a new record in the link satellite with the new contract type. Then again, Tim performed well and his salary increased on 5th of April 2019, and there is no change in the link table, and we have a new record in the satellite table again. You remember that we never update satellite tables. All updates from source system is inserted as a new record. So again, main distinction between the regular link satellite and effectivity satellite based on driving key is the regular link satellite tracks the history for each individual relationship. So the attributes describe team and sales or team and IT combination. In the meantime, effectivity based on driving key link satellite tracks the history from the perspective of driving key. In here, we look at the relationship from the perspective of employee. Let's compare behavior of both tables due to source system inserts and updates. First record arrives on 27th of October 2018, and due to that we will have a relationship between team and sales department in the link table. From the regular link satellite perspective, we record that the team is working on sales department with the medium benefit package. And from effectivity table perspective, we have an open relationship that has end date with the maximal 9,999 end of December, and the status column is the yes. Then the second record arrives on 10th of December 2018. As we mentioned that Tim achieved a promotion on his job and his benefit package is upgraded to large. Due to that, we get an additional record in regular link satellite that shows we have a new contract type, but this doesn't change anything in the effectivity satellite because there is not any change from perspective of Tim and he still works in the same department. And the third record arrives on 5th of August 2020 and it shows that Tim changed his department. In this scenario, we have a new record in link table and additional record in standard link satellite because there is a new relationship and there are also attributes that describe it. And we look at the effectivity table and also see that old relationship between team and sales is closed and new relationship between team and IT is created. In here, we use the load date information of the latest record in order to end old relationship by updating effective to column. But we already mentioned that in real projects, you need to ask data owner as which date information makes sense from the business perspective. For example, if Tim changed his department on 5th of August 2020, but we had a maintenance issue in our ETL jobs and had delay on data load, then we would close the relationship with the incorrect value if we use the load date information. Because there will be always difference between business date and the load date, and in here our reference is the business date. Then the status column is also changed from yes to no, so it became inactive for the first relationship. And status column is also optional for effectivity satellite, but it eases the further reporting and querying activities, therefore I would recommend to use this column also. Again, we assign the maximal end date 9,099 end of December into effective to column for the new relationship. Then in the last update, it becomes more complicated. Tim thought that it was not a correct decision to move IT and he decided to move back to the sales team again. When we first check in the link table, we don't get additional record because the relationship between team and sales is already there. When we check the regular link satellite, the attributes belong to this relationship is already there. So there is not any change in this table also. When we check effectivity table again, we ended the old relationship between team and IT and created a new relationship between team and sales again. This is one of the biggest achievements of effectivity driving key satellite. Because when we look at the link table, we are not able to achieve the relationship when the employee is joining, leaving and joining again. So if the team leave the sales team couple of times and come back again, we are not able to identify this information from the link table. And regular link satellite also does not have this information. It does not contain the validity of relationship. It is only interested to hold historical changes that belong to specific relationship. Therefore, when the relationship is opened, closed, and reopened again a couple of times between more than one entities, we need effectivity tables in order to capture validity of each relationship in different period of times. This example gives an idea that how we can track the two different perspectives over the time. The history of unique relationships and the history of from the driving key perspective. For example, if you want to know in which department and when the specific employee was working, then you can query the effectivity driving key table. But if you're interested in current and historical information about what was the benefit package of employee, then regular link satellite can be queried directly. And as a second option, it's also possible that we can merge these tables into a single link satellite. And lastly, if do we need effectivity satellite or not, this is totally depends on your business rules and modeling approach.